G'day folks, here I am up in the Warby Ranges going for a bushwalk. Today I'm heading out to the Warby Falls. In fact, if you look at the sign over here, the goal for today, I'm going to walk up the car park too, about 3.8 k's each way, and it's quite an altitude gain because it's up on top of the hills. Now I know a few of you people out there are screaming out for fishing videos. They're saying, Robbie, can you make some more fishing videos? And I appreciate the wonderful feedback. And I promise I will be making more fishing videos when the weather warms up. Unfortunately at the moment here in northeast Victoria we don't have a whole lot of fishing options unless I go to Lake Dartmouth or Lake William Hovell. I usually do get up to Lake Dartmouth once or twice each winter, but this year I haven't made it so far. But I'm not sure that I'm going to get time, to be honest. But for now it's bushwalking videos, but I do promise that when the weather warms up the fishing videos will be back. Now let's go to the Warby Falls. To get here you go on Booth Road, which is over the back of the Warbies, over near the Winton wetlands. Look on Google Maps or on your Maps app on your phone, or just Google it, Booth Road, and you can't find it, or Booth's Winery, because there is Booth's Winery just over there. You follow the signs along Booth Road to Booth Winery or Old Stones Winery. You keep going 300 or 400 metres past the entrance to Booth Winery, then there's a little car park up here on the left. You park in there and this is where this walk begins. I want to go and see whether there's any water in Warby Falls. Don't know whether there will be or not. We've had rain, hence the green grass and the wet grass. It's bloody freezing and there might be a little bit of water flowing over, but I'm not expecting too much. But it's all about adventure. Let's go and check it out. And I tell you what, it is bloody freezing. Have a look at this. I am wearing my down jacket made by the North Face. I only bought this the other day and it's so warm, I love it. A down jacket, named after the person that designed it, Alexander Downer. Okay, let's go for a walk. Let's go off on an adventure. I've got to work this afternoon, so it's only a moderate sized adventure. Now here's a little tip. I don't carry my keys when I go bushwalking, because especially if I'm doing an overnight trip or something like that, I hide them somewhere near the car. Not too close to the car because you don't want it to be too obvious, but try and get a fair way from the car, somewhere where you know you're going to find them and not forget them. That way they can't fall out of my pack. I can't leave them sitting on a rock when I unpack my lunch or anything like that. If I get a hole in my bag I can't lose them. Under any circumstances I know that when I get back here I'm going to be able to get into my car and drive home, because I know I'm not going to lose the keys. So don't make it an obvious spot, don't make it too close to the car. Even if you want to walk a couple of 100 metres down the track, then hide them, then keep walking and just pick them up on the way back. If you forget them, it's not that far to walk to get them. But it's a great tip, and one that'll see you getting home safely and not getting back to your car and saying, oh no, where have I put my keys? Just stop for a breather. About a kilometre or so in, there's the track. Down it goes, down through there, down to the bottom of the gully. Then we start climbing up that hill on the other side. Now for years, there's been reports of a black puma in the Warby Ranges, and I've always thought it's a bit of crap, to be quite honest. Now I'm changing my thoughts. Now I wasn't a puma, but I just saw the biggest black cat I've ever seen in my life run up that hill. Something moved and caught my attention, and originally I thought it was a fox, and then it was jet black. I don't know why I thought it was a fox, just because of the size. This was a jet black cat, the size of a fox, charging up that hill at high speed, and it just took off out of sight. Didn't hear a thing, made no noise, very quiet. I know it wasn't a puma, maybe it was some sort of mutant gene of a cat or something, I don't know, but I can now understand exactly why people say that they've seen pumas in the bush, because that thing was enormous. I have seen a lot of wild cats in the bush in my time, but nothing ever of the size of that. That was amazing. I would have loved to have got a good photo or video of it. That was massive. Meow. Righto, we're just about to get to the creek crossing. It doesn't appear to be a whole lot of water coming down the creek. Certainly can't hear much splashing. Yes, not a whole lot of water coming down the creek, is there? It's bone dry. That's the creek that's got Warby Falls on it. But just because it's dry here does not mean that the waterfall is not flowing. These creeks, where the waterfalls are, is usually pretty solid granite. So the water has to go over the outside of the granite, so the waterfall may be flowing. Where the granite's all broken up like it is here and you've got all these stones and rocks and gravelly stuff, the water can then soak through the dirt and flow underground. There's every chance this could be flowing underground and the waterfall might be flowing. In saying that, there's not a lot of water laying around up here. The ground's not saturated. There's no water coming out of the little gullies and there's no water running over the rocks. So it's going to be hit and miss. I reckon there's going to be a little bit of water coming over, but not very much. But that's why we call it an adventure, because we're going to explore. Here you can see a little hole in the ground. Just excuse the wind, it's blowing a gale here. That was a sheep wash built by Ben Warby back in 1857. You can still see the bricks. And that's what this whole valley is about. Ben Warby, oh, I'm presuming the Warby Ranges were named after. You can see a bit of a line running along the hill there. The hill, sorry. It's very cold. Ben Warby built a series of little dams on the creek up there, and when the creek was flowing, those dams caught water. They lifted the water level, which was then flooded and ran down the channel along the hill there and down through that hole, which was Ben's sheep wash, where he used to wash his sheep prior to shearing them, and then it would flow back into the creek just there. 160 years ago almost, probably 157 years ago he made that, and you can still see the remnants now. These days they have different technology, but isn't that just incredible? That's the Warby Ranges history right there. Love this place. There's the walking track. I'm now going to walk up that hill, then turn right at the top and follow the walking track along the ridge, along towards the waterfall. Have a look at that. This is one of the reasons that farmers don't like kangaroos. You see that? Believe it or not, that is a kangaroo crossing. Now I know a lot of people, especially city folk, won't believe me because the fence is only 3 foot high and kangaroo could probably jump twice that. But in all seriousness, they prefer to go under the fence where possible. If you spook kangaroos, if you're walking along and they see you and they take off and they're in a hurry, they'll just jump over it, no worries at all. But when they're just coming down at night time to feed, or they're not in a hurry and they're just moving around, the lazy bastards prefer to actually go under the fence and wreck the fence. Isn't that unbelievable? I've actually seen them do it. Well, I've made it. Here I am, Warby Falls. Warby trickles. It is trickling. There is water coming over the fall. Just not very much. But it's still very pretty none the same. If you follow the falls down, right down the bottom there's a nice pool of water. You can hear a few frogs. And this is just a wonderful spot for people to come if they're interested in watching nature or photographing nature. This is where animals come to drink and stuff of an evening. There's isolated water points. Now it's not flowing much now, but the fact that it is flowing a little bit is a wonderful indication that the ground is just at that level where it's becoming saturated. If we get a good inch or so of rain, then come straight up, and this will be quite spectacular because it won't soak in, it'll just run straight off and over these falls. This isn't the best camera angle. Due to the position of the sun, I've had to come right up close so I can be in the shade of the waterfall to get a bit of footage. Normally I prefer to go down the bottom there, but then I'll be pointing straight up at the sun and all you'll see is lens flare. Looking back down the valley. Quite a pretty spot. Warby Falls. If you're looking for an alternative type adventure to the usual waterfalls or walking tracks in the Warby Ranges, give Warby Falls a crack. Quite a nice place. One of the less visited areas of the Warby Ranges. Here's another little waterfall upstream of Warby Falls. Don't know whether it's got a name. Maybe Warby Falls Upper, I really don't know. But what a truly delightful little spot. I can honestly say that I've never been here. I've walked up as far as Warby Falls previously, but I've never followed the walking track any further. You can see the water just trickling into that little plunge pool just there, where thousands of years of erosion has no doubt carved out that circle shape in the rocks. Obviously in times of higher water flow than we've got now. Down the bottom is this lovely deep little plunge pool. So I don't know how deep, but it looks deep. But check this out, I'll just take a few steps back. I'll go back up the hill a little bit, hang on, just let me jog up here. There's an overall view, there's my jacket on that rock there. There's no blackberries or bracken, it's just a cleared little area with a couple of rocks to sit on and cook your lunch. What a delightful place to hike into with your little backpack stove cook yourself some lunch, listen to the water trickle over the rocks, and just relax. What a wonderful place. I can't believe I've never been here before. I spent all my life walking and exploring the Warby Ranges, but this is a first for me. Although it's not as big, this is actually prettier than the main Warby Falls in my opinion, just because it's such a nice open area. There's no rubbish, because people that like to rubbish and leave litter laying around normally don't like to walk 3 or 4 k's into the bush. What a wonderful place. Highly recommended. This has made my day discovering this spot. Righto, here I am at the top of the second Warby Falls, looking back down the valley. This camera doesn't handle contrasty situations very well. But over there on the flat ground is the vast expanse that is known as the Winton Wetlands. Formerly Lake McCowan. It used to be Lake McCowan. And I'm puffing like an old steam train, but that's okay because that means it's no pain, no gain, if you know what I mean. Here we have a black boy. It's actually called a grass tree these days. It used to be called a black boy when I was at school, but somewhere along the way the word black became an offensive word, and I'm still yet to work out why. I have a lot of respect for our indigenous heritage. This area was occupied heavily by the Yorta Yorta people and the Pangarang people. They managed it far better than us white people ever can, and I just, they were absolutely beautiful, and I love our Aboriginal people, but I just cannot understand why the word black has become so offensive. So there's a grass tree, or a black boy. Typical of native Australian fauna, it's very, very hardy and it's very bushfire resistant. That particular tree there could be dozens of years old, if not longer, and it's probably survived a lot of bushfires and God knows what. That big tall spike at the top is the flower. That flower provides nectars and stuff for possums and other animals, but possums love them. They're a bit of a favourite of the old possum. And back in the days of the Yorta Yorta people, they used to strip the outsides of that and use the stem up the inside to make spears to hunt wildlife like kangaroos and wallabies and stuff. What a beautiful tree. That's actually a beautiful specimen. Get back a bit so I can fit it into the screen. Look at that. Well, I'm puffed out, but here I am, up at car park number 2. Right. Catch me breath, 3.8 k's in 50 minutes. I'm not sure whether to take the road back or whether to walk back along the track. I've got a funny feeling there's still quite a few hills to climb if I take the road back. Either way, it's just beautiful to be up here. Now here's a sign that spring is just around the corner. That's the Happy Wanderer, sometimes known as the Australian sarsaparilla bush. Scientifically known as Hardenbergia violacea, I think. Now that is really in touch with my inner nerd. About 15 years ago I worked at a nursery and I think I can remember one scientific name, and that's that one. I should have just not said that and just kept sounding smart, but don't expect me to go throwing out scientific names too often. Anyway, Happy Wanderer, sarsaparilla bush, a native Australian creeper. They grow wild up here in the Warby Ranges and they normally start flowering about August, and it's August in about another week, so he's just opening his flowers now. Very pretty and just great to see, and a great sign that spring is just around the corner. Here I am, totally puffed. Up on top of the world, on top of the Warbies. I decided to take the track back. Instead of the walking track, I've taken the vehicle tracks. The first little track, Booth Track, is a public road, but this is a closed road for management vehicles only. Spot Mill Track. And I'm at the very top. So essentially I've come from the bottom of the valley right down there to the top. An altitude gain of maybe 200 metres or so. Now I'm going to have a rest. It's quite windy up here. I think it's cold. It feels cold on my hands and my face, but I don't feel cold with this down jacket on. I'm pretty impressed by that, I must say. Stop and catch me breath for 5 minutes, have a drink of water, then walk downhill to the car. Hopefully all downhill. Wow. It's a good pain. It's no pain, no gain. I'm puffed and it's not comfortable. I'm outside my comfort zone, but it's good for me and it's great to be out in the environment. I love this. Well, here I am. Here I am back at the car. I made it. I walked back down those walking tracks, or the management vehicle tracks. I walked up the single track, the hiking track or walking track, whatever you want to call it. Went to car park 2, followed the dirt tracks back. Now I'm back at the car, all up about 9.5 kilometres. A wonderful walk. Estimated a couple of 100 metres altitude gain. I will know soon because I recorded it on my mobile phone with an app called Strava. Strava's a great app for athletes, but it's also good for bushwalkers to map out where they've walked. I highly recommend this walk, Warby Falls. Check it out. Love that down jacket. I had to take it off because it's too hot to wear in the car.